Hello, it's me, Jay, your GM, and today, Codex is launching on the 6th, and it's going to be $20 at first, and then go up to $30 once it's out of beta testing. And I thought it would be cool to just do a very simple tutorial for a new director to help you set up your game and get playing, and for it to be as painless as possible. Because it was a little intimidating for me at first, but once I got in it and started learning how to use it, it was actually quite easy to run and use. I'm not going to go over setting up maps and encounters today because I already have a video for that. So if you are interested in that specific topic, go check out setting up an encounter in another video. This is just going to be setting up a new campaign. So you click the start button, you go in as a director, you click the new campaign. Delian Tomb will set up the pre-made, prefabricated Delian Tomb adventure, which is extremely robust, extremely well set up. If you want something easy to run, that is the way to go. But if you're going homebrew, then click Orden, click Create Campaign, and then in Orden, we're going to name that whatever your campaign is named. We'll call this Heroes of Grey Winter, or some other generic fantasy name. The important thing here is, well, first of all, you can change the cover art if you'd like. But the more important thing is that you can click down here and copy this. This is basically the code your players will use to join your campaign later. So we're going to confirm that, and that will launch into a new campaign. So when you first load in, you're going to see a lot of stuff. The Codex has two panels on the left and right side. You'll see them over here and over here. The panels are basically used to store a bunch of different information for easy access. Like, for example, the time of day panel will let you adjust the time of day. A lot of these panels I like to close out personally, unless I'm like actively using them. Floors and layers, for example, I don't typically use very often. The main panels you're going to be interfacing with are the action log, which is where roles are going to be displayed and the results of roles, and the character panel. And then for GMs, you're also going to be using the bestiary panel. And then terrain editor, I don't use so much because I use pre-made maps for the most part. I also don't use the building editor, although there's a very robust like map editing tool built into this software, so you can create your own really fascinating maps. That's not what this video is about, and it's certainly not something I do very often. I do use the elevation editor quite a lot because it's a very cool tool to create a sense of depth in a map. But again, if you're looking for encounter setup, that's in a different video, and so we're not going to go into that too much today. Last thing that's good to have is the journal, because the journal is where you can store documents with notes or images you want to show to your players, all sorts of things like that. So, now, if you're a new GM getting ready to run your campaign, I recommend the first thing you should do is invite your players in, naturally. You can create a hero for them. Just right-click and then click Create Token and Create Hero. Then you can assign that to the specific player if they've joined your campaign, or you can assign it to the player's group, which basically just means it is a token that any player could theoretically get access to. Then you could assign it to the specific player once the player actually joins. However, the player is probably going to want to use import assets instead, and if they have used the software Forge Steel, they can export their character to a JSON file, and then use that JSON file here. You can choose File, upload it, and it'll actually import their character over from Forge Steel. So if you've been using Forge Steel, you can just import your character straight in, no muss, no fuss. Alternatively, the character sheet has a builder here. So if you want to pick Devil, you can select this as your ancestry. You can spend your points. You can do all the character building right here if you'd like to. You know, let's pick a class, whatever. We'll pick the Null. Select class. And then career, we'll pick the Aristocrat. Select career. Great. So we now have a sort of generic default character here, and you can see that it starts to populate all the fields, right? Some of the stats you'll have to make choices about, but some of the, like, your class gives you 2 agility and 2 intuition, so it's just already populated that. It's also showing you your heroic resources, and it'll help you track those automatically, and each turn, when you gain a heroic resource, it'll just mark it off automatically as well. It tracks your stamina, it tracks your recoveries, all sorts of things. Of course, I didn't go through the full process of creating a character, so it's not fully set up. But this character panel is going to show you a condensed, easily readable version of your character sheet. You'll also be able to see this version of your character sheet if you launch into the character once it's set up. And then, yeah, beyond that, there's another important tab, which is the Appearance tab. So in the Appearance tab, you can select an appearance for your character, and you can actually select a separate portrait for your character. And then when you go into the page here, it'll actually show this right next to your character here. We can go back into Appearance here, and for the token, we can move it around, like better center it on her face so it's a little more visible there. We can scale it and zoom it, so like if she's like a really big character, we can make her a little bigger than a square, right? And if we want to zoom in or zoom out, we can get just what we want to see. You know, it's very nice, very well done. Over here, you can select an anthem. Your players can actually upload audio for their character's anthem. It'll play a short little, like, 10 seconds, 6 seconds jingle as soon as their turn starts. My players use this all the time. It's hilarious and fun, and it's really good, and I highly recommend that you encourage your players to use it if you run this game. Great, so now you have a character set up. The next thing that you're going to be doing a lot when you're running the game is fighting, but we've already done setting up a combat, so we're not going to go over that here. Or doing checks, like skill tests, right? So if you go into the Game tab here, you're going to go to Request a Role. So now, because this person is assigned to the party, I can click Request a Role. And I can click the skill that the role will go off of. So this is the ability, right? And then I could select the skill. Like, let's say I'm asking for specifically an alertness test, right? I could select alertness here and populate that out to them. Or I could leave this blank and let the players decide if they pitch their skill, right? Then this is where you set the difficulty. Is it an easy test? Is it a medium test? Or is it a hard test? So let's say it's a hard test. I select the player. I selected intuition. I submit that. This is what the player sees. It populates this to the player specifically. Because this character isn't currently assigned to a player, it's showing it to me. But normally this would go to the player. So the player can determine, oh, I have a skill that's relevant to this ability check. And you know what? I have a culture lore benefit that's also relevant to this ability check. So they can select those boxes up there. If they don't have a skill, they leave it unselected. And then you can just click roll dice, and that will roll a die and populate down here. And you see, we got a 17 plus. We succeed on the task. And it tells us that's your result based on the difficulty that we set up earlier. So that is how you do a basic check. The last thing that you might really be, interacting with quite frequently is downtime projects. So for this, you're going to want to have a panel, a specific panel called the Downtime Projects panel. And you're going to want to put that somewhere on your bar there. Yeah, great. So first, you're going to go into your settings, and you're going to unpause roles. Make sure you do that, because otherwise you'll get confused about why your players can't do this, and it's annoying. Then click Grant Roles. When you click Grant Roles, you're basically telling them how many downtimes are they getting to take advantage of. Let's say that they're resting for a week, right? 6 days of downtime. So we're going to grant 6 days of downtime to the heroes. I'm going to give this player 6 rolls. Grant them 6 rolls. Great. Okay. So now this player should be able to go into their character sheet. And then they should see in their downtime tab, they have 6 rolls available to them. So they're going to create a new project. Let's say that this project is inventing astrophysics. And let's say that there is a milestone stop at 20. And the project goal is 400 because astrophysics is a very complicated topic. That player can now go to roll. Projects that, oh right, they have to set it to active on the project first. Now they can go to roll. So we're gonna, we have to select the skill of the roll. So this is going to be reason. It's based on their reason score. And we're gonna roll. And that is the first roll. And look, you see it tracked it right here. They got 2 on that. Really, really bad. We're gonna give them another roll. All right, we're going to give them another roll, because remember, they got 6 rolls, so they can just bang these out real fast. It's tracking it all for you. And look at that. You hit a milestone, right? Milestone stop at 20. So now, there is a milestone here, so they're going to do something. Whether that's a event or something like that. See, look at this. It automatically sets status to milestone. And I bet if you click the roll, it won't let you because it's not active. It's saying, consult your director. You've hit a milestone. Let's set it back to active. Let's assume we've resolved the milestone. Then we can click roll again. And then we can click roll again. And then now they've got 41 points of progress on their project. So they've resolved... oh, wait, they have one more roll left. Hang on. We might get to 50. We got to 49. Ah, just one short. All right. So now they've got 49 points of project on their progress on their project of inventing astrophysics. And that is all tracked right here. And if they want to start a new project, it's just as simple as this. They can click another new project, and they can click the roll button on either one at any time and progress the one that they currently want to progress. And that's the Downtime system. I just recently had my first interaction with this system, and while it was a little awkward to learn at mid-session, once I had the hang of it, it was pretty easy to just populate a bunch of rolls. Like, as the GM, really, all you've got to do is grant rolls, click on the players, grant them, the correct number of rolls, and then click grant. And then you can go into their projects and set up milestones if you'd like to, or you can just tell them, hey guys, I want you guys to set up a milestone for halfway through your project. We'll give you maybe an extra project roll, or we'll do one of the events on the events table, etc., 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 yada, yada, yada. So that's really all there is to the basics of running a game in Codex. I hope that this shows that the actual interaction with the software is pretty straightforward, pretty easy, and more importantly, I hope that it shows how robust and full-featured this already is, even in early beta. So I really have, enjoyed the hell out of running my games. I have a player who has a theme song, John Cena, and so every time it gets to their turn, it goes, bam, 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 the John Cena, ba, ba, da, ba, starts playing, and everybody goes, yeah, let's go! I have another player who had, a very beautiful little piece of music, you have it takes all kinds. We're constantly surprised mid-session, it's tracking, we had two players set up flanking, and it automatically identified that flanking was... that they were positioned for flanking, and it gave them the flanking bonus, which was just kind of incredible. Yeah, it's just a really, really robust software, and I can't recommend it highly enough. I think $20 for this program right now is a steal, an absolute steal, deal of the century. I think even when it goes up to $30, once it leaves early beta, I think that will also be a steal. Yeah, I just think it's a really, really incredible software, and if you are running Draw Steel, this is the best way to run it. I hope that this helps you get started. For now, goodbye!